Unexpected risk taking over your project. Risk is a plague that happens across all projects. Each and every single project faces some form of risk that impedes it or helps it move forward. As a seasoned project manager, I've seen both cases. I've seen a risk come and delay a project beyond repair, as well as I've seen a risk happen and take a project quicker down the schedule, or maybe even save the project. But oftentimes than not, the key to really managing risk is actually paying attention to what and where and when it's happening. So I'm actually here to help you identify and start tracking your risk more effectively. Now, we shouldn't be waiting until the risk happens to start tracking it. We should actually be preemptively figuring out if this risk is a possibility, and then is this risk going to actually occur in the project. And we'll discuss a nice, neat way of keeping track of those risks that you identified during that period and also throughout the project. But before we get started, my name is Darius, and I am a project management professional. So if you like the video, please like the video. Please share with anyone in your network who you think this video might support and help. And then please subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos and content such as this one. But liking the channel and liking the video is really helpful in moving this work forward, so this way I can continue to make content like this and it can continue to reach the people that need to hear it. But with that said, and without further ado, let's jump right in. So before we get started and jumping right into the meat and potatoes of what it is that we're covering today, the first thing that we must understand is what is a risk. So as I mentioned in the previous video, of course I'll put it up here, is risk is basically anything that can actually occur to the project that would either affect it negatively or positively, and either has a very high likely chance of happening or a low chance of happening, and then the impact. When you start having to address, so now that understanding what risk is, the item that I wanted to share with you and then walk you through how to create is a risk registry. You guessed it. And a risk registry is important because it allows you to track exactly what risk either your team has seen or has predicted to happen in your project. So now that you know what a risk is and what the risk registry is, let's actually take a look at a risk registry. Okay. Number one, right? Something simple. You just want to have an ID for the risk. You want to be able to identify what the risk is easily through some form of identification. So I actually put a risk ID here. And then also you want to document who actually entered the risk. Who actually entered the risk. Because that could be either someone on your team, that could have been you. There's a document that you can actually share with your team. So if they see things coming up, you can be aware, and vice versa. The other thing that you want to include in this risk registry is also a brief summary of the risk itself, right? So you want to be able to describe what the risk is and what might it entail. This will look something like, we're currently looking at doing a website, and one of the risks is that the client does not have all of their resources completely filled out yet, or they don't have the documents created and they're waiting on those documents to be created, but they want to include it on the launch. The risk to the project is that this documents may not be ready, especially if we're not the ones managing it. So you would put that description in there, so this way it covers, in the event it does happen, we can at least track it based on that description. And of course the ID. Then after that, we have the date that was raised. So just documenting, when did this actually come up? What, did it come up during the project plan? Did it come up during the project? You'll know that by this date. Now come to the meat and potatoes of this risk registry, which is the probability. You want to just see exactly when the probability of this particular risk might take place. And the reason why you want to document this is that you want to kind of get an understanding of how likely is this risk going to affect this project. The other thing that you want to track also is the impact. What kind of impact would this risk have on the project? And I actually created something that was pretty simple. I tried to keep it as simple as possible. So we're going to use the high, medium, and low. And this is what you're going to use as ranges for both probability and impact. So as you can see here, let's make this high, as it's a high probability, but we have a low impact. And let's see where that lands. So the risk score now is what we're actually going to cover next. The risk score is very important and it's pretty easy to document. So what you want to do is you're going to give high the number 3 and you're going to give low the number 1. You see where I'm going? So medium would be the number 2. So high times low is what gets you your risk score. So you want to be able to times probability by impact, and that'll give you your risk score. So in this case, we have a high probability but a low impact. Let's put it at 3. Boom. Right? Now, as we continue to work down the list, we have the mitigation strategy. The mitigation strategy is just going to simply discuss some ideas you and your team might come up with to ensure that maybe this risk doesn't take place. So like the example I gave before, you, my friend, are looking at the client needing to get resources done before the website is completely done. What you can actually do is maybe say, you know what, who is working with you to get that completed? Is it you? Because we can probably work on that. Or we can help you start sourcing some of those ideas. Or we can even create a placeholder so that this is something that you can update relatively quickly, and this so we don't have to wait on the documents itself to move forward. Those are all mitigation strategies that you can put into place to try to get ahead of the fact that the client may not have these items already ready. The contingency plan now is what happens when this risk does happen. So let's say we get to the end and the client does not have the resources available. What are we going to do to address that? Well, like I said earlier, we can actually just go with, whatever plan we created or whatever way we decided to go for. Like I said earlier, we can actually just say, you know what, but maybe let's just put in the resource at the end of the project once they're ready and completed and put placeholders. So now we can actually do that plan and see this is the reason why this risk had a high probability of happening, but essentially speaking, it was a pretty low impact on the project. Another thing that is important to keep in mind is who's going to be the risk owner. Of course, is there. And then for status, you can actually use this as a place to document what happened with the risk, what's currently going on with the risk. Is it in progress? Are we currently working on the contingency plan? Did the contingency plan work? I kind of fill this out more so than just putting words like, completed, in progress. I think it gives just a little bit more detail towards what's going on for that risk. We also have the risk score calculator, which is here to also provide you with an understanding of what the score would be. So this way you can group your risks effectively. So as you can see, we have high and high at 9 and low at a 1. Anything in red is things that I would address. So that would be numbers between 6 and 9. And I would be focusing on those heavily. And then anything else that's in yellow would be things that I would still keep my eye out for, but I wouldn't prioritize them over the reds. So that'll be numbers between 3 and 5. And then lastly, we have our blues, which is the 1 and 2s. And those are things that I would not, necessarily prioritize over anything on this list. And you can kind of make sense of it as you look at it and as you start to get familiar with the risk registry and the score. But ultimately speaking, it just helps us to identify how we are going to actually manage the risk and what risks we're going to actually prioritize. Now that you know what is included in the risk registry, go out there and take this information and utilize it to support you and your projects. It will be a great tool for your teams to continue to track your projects. And like I said, this risk registry will be in the comment section below. I hope this helps you and your teams continue to manage risk effectively. I hope that you're able to utilize it effectively, and I hope that it really makes a difference for you all. But with that said, and without further ado, get out there, make your projects great, continue to track your risk effectively, and let's continue to grow and master the art of project management. And like I said, if you like this video, please like the video, please share, and please comment down below what risk has your projects been held up on or currently being held up on. And if you haven't found risk in your projects yet, it might be time to actually start using that risk registry. I do appreciate each and every one of you. Have a fantastic day.